So on track now is the men's 10,000 metres, the final event of this evening here at the Steigen Spectacular at John Landy Field in Geelong. In lane 1, we have Ashley Hoffman, unattached. Lane 2, Jamie Cook of Bendigo. Lane 3, Jack Holden of St Kevin's. Lane 4, Matt Gunther of Deakin. Lane 5, Chris Rancy of Diamond Valley. Lane 6, Kaylin Goldsmith of MPA. Mitch? Mornington Peninsula.
Mornington.
There we go, Mornington. Josh Maisie of Deakin. Daryl Cook, unattached. Nick Earl, unattached, although I believe Melbourne University. Tom DeCanto, unattached, New South Wales athlete. Ben Kelly, Glenn Huntley. Brett Ellis, Williamstown. Peter Hodgkinson, unattached. Eric Udea from Melbourne University. Frankie Conway, Melbourne Uni. Jack Maxwell, unattached. George Headley, unattached. Dean Menzies and Ben Liddy, both unattached. While I get my start list back up, Michael Marantelli of Victorian Cross Country League, Larry McIntyre of Box Hill, Tom Crouch of St Stephen's, Matthew Hudson, unattached. James Coleman of St Stephen's, Martin Cooper, unattached. Caleb Mueller, Melbourne University, Daniel Hutchinson, Chilwell, John Portwood of Doncaster Athletics Club, and Guy Walters. BEU, I believe that might be a Newcastle club singlet, and I'm not quite sure what all these athletes are. Maybe someone needs to see their hip numbers. That's why they're standing.
I thought it was just
and not on end. Is interesting. Yeah, exactly. Someone get a photo of that.
Hey, our very own Jimmy Coleman.
James Coleman. He's been behind the mic for so many meets, and you're thinking, does this guy even run anymore? Much like they're probably thinking about us, Mitch.
No.
But we do see Jimmy Coleman put his talent on show tonight, and we're very much looking forward to James Coleman going into BB Town here at Geelong.
The best looking one of the group out on the track. It really showcases us very well.
Yeah, someone should chuck him in a Kokomo singlet. Just have the best looking face and the best looking singlet, and that'd be a combo for James Coleman.
Big field here.
Yeah, I believe the athletes are going for around 29:30 will be the fastest of them. The likes of Tom DeCanto, James Coleman. These guys who may have just missed out on getting a gig at Zatopek last week, where we saw the Australian record being broken. So you can understand how you could miss out on getting a gig there, but this is going to be very competitive and still a very quick race. Many athletes will be hoping to go around the 30-minute mark, and a few will go under that.
Well, I reckon, and I had a little bit of chat to him beforehand, I reckon Jimmy Coleman and Guy Walters are going to work really closely together. Guy coming down from Newcastle, a good 1,500 metre, 3,000 metre steeplechase in his own right. So he's going to have another crack over 10K. He's run a few before, but he might try and do a bit of the work with Jimmy Coleman. But it's Kaylin Goldsmith at the front of Mornington Peninsula. And as I say that now, we see a few start to go around him. So I think we were at about 40 seconds there for the first 200. So they'll start to pick up the pace a little bit now that they find their feet. It's nicely strung out. A few people boxed in, a few people still trying to find their position, but I mean, you've got just on 24 laps about to keep finding it. So there's certainly no shortage of time to be able to do it. As Ben Kelly now rounds it around and gets in front of our own Jimmy Coleman.
Absolutely. It's 25 laps around the same track. They've got plenty of time to settle. 24 to go, as our graphic on the bottom right corner of the screen does tell us. For a 30 minutes, 10 kilometre time, that'd be 72 seconds per lap, 3 minutes per kilometre.
I'll tell you what, I wouldn't have minded wearing arm warmers out there if I was one of these 10K guys, because we have pants and jackets and just about everything on to keep us warm, and I'm freezing. So we start to see them now. As I said, they were sort of finding their spot there in the first 200, 300 metres, and the pace has picked up.
It's interesting because it is a summer meet, but it's almost like winter-like conditions. And for our distance runners, we actually don't mind running in the winter sometimes. Like if it's not windy or freezing cold. So right now it's kind of ideal conditions. The wind's dropped a bit, and yeah, it's kind of cool. They'll warm up quickly, arm warmers or not. They'll be all right.
Well, as we said earlier, compared to the 44 degrees it was 24 hours ago, it's bizarre to think that now we're thinking about wearing arm warmers. So
Yeah.
you start to see Jack Holden now start to move through the field. He starts to get to the front end of it, behind Guy Walters, behind Jimmy Coleman, behind Galen Goldsmith.
Tom DeCanto leading
And Tom
them all
DeCanto.
through about 2 minutes and 25 seconds.
So right on
these-
30.
Yeah, smack bang on. 72s for 400s.
A
3
notable
minutes for
10K.
Ks.
A workhorse, Nick Earl, I believe, is that in there for the Melbourne Uni colours.
Absolutely, is
fifth place.
a grinder.
So it's starting to break up a little bit. Still a lot of time. And I say that as though the race is coming towards its end, but it's only just in its beginning.
And
Going
about
through
3
there.
minutes on the dot through the first K. So there might be a few of those athletes who will be looking to pick up the pace in the later stages, but this is time to be comfortable, settle in, find your rhythm, and look who else is around you that you can just tuck in and follow.
No, I take my hat off to anyone who can run a 10K on the track, because I get bored after about 30 seconds. My attention span is horrendous. So to be able to focus up or find your spot and find your groove, and I guess that's what a lot of this is about, as well as road running. It's getting into that zone where you can just tick them off and not have to think about it and not let your body think about it. So these guys are just going to try and find that zone and sit in it for as long as you possibly can, because guaranteed the last 2K are going to hurt no matter how talented you are or how fit you are. It's always going to be a struggle. So these guys are nicely strung out, and they're just going to find their pace, and they're more than happy to let DeCanto be the one to take them through and keep them on that 30 or under sort of time bracket.
And the final runners to come through as well. They're spread out by about 80 metres or so across the track now, but the last of them are heading for under a 31-minute pace at the moment. So pretty quick running all round. We'll see what happens as the race progresses and the packs kind of start to break up. You'll start to see lots of mini packs form. Josh Maisie had a big run at Zatopek last week, and he's back to have another put himself for a 5 laps of pain again. Running a PB at Zatopek last week, so he's
What's another?
not content with that. He says, I'm fit, why would I not go again?
Well, and if that is true, he's going to lead Jimmy through perfectly, because he's right behind him. Ben Kelly behind him there, Nick Earl, Guy Walters, Galen Goldsmith. Also Jack Holden there, who's done his time at altitude over the past recent months. Harry McIntyre has found himself in a little bit of no man's land there. He's got the Deneen runner singlet on, so out of Steve Deneen Staples. A great 10,000 metre runner in his own right, the Foss. He's starting to make his comeback to running. So shout out to you, Foss, if you're listening. Clary in a little bit of no man's land, but looking good. So this front start of the field here, will be about 10 to 15 athletes, and they're nicely strung out. And I reckon the pace is heating up. Just looks like there's been a slight increase in pace as DeCanto now slips back into second place.
Yeah, I'm liking the look of James Coleman, one of our own, as you mentioned. He's got that headband, he's got that slick SSH singlet on. And if he's wanting to run under 30 minutes tonight, he's going the right way about it.
So 2 run crew athletes there in 1 and 2.
In Hoffman and DeCanto.
5:58 there through the 2K.
Yeah. So that whole front pack, about the 15 of them, all through in about 6:01 or under. So that's that 30-minute pack right there, which Brett Ellis is just hanging on to the back of. And as we said, they might start to increase their pace as the race goes on. So we said 5:58, that's about a 29:50 10K right there.
Well, you imagine it's only going to get incrementally faster and faster, and as we see DeCanto now, he slips back into second. We'll see who's going to help the boys out to take some of the work. I know Jimmy was hunting a fast time, but sometimes conditions and weather can play a role in how you're going to go about your business. So we'll see if he can move from fourth and maybe help out with some of the lead. Guy Walters now just on the back of that separating front pack. Galen Goldsmith, he's going to lead the pack that's about 5 metres off that front one. So still plenty of time, plenty of ability to be able to latch on and move around in this race. But I imagine I haven't run a 10K on the track. I'm not sure if you have, Mick, but probably want to minimise the amount of movement that you're doing back and forth. You want to find your zone, and I reckon someone who's done that really well is Jack Holden, who's on the just in front of Guy Walters there, and Ben Kelly also in the Ren Singlet. He's a World Junior Cross Country representative, World Uni Cross Country as well, so distance is certainly a friend of his. But can't go past Jimmy Coleman. Headband on, looking the OG old school North Texas product, mean green. And I know that the Steigen one has finished up, and this is our last event on the track, but still plenty of people around. Still plenty of people taking an interest in this 10K, which is fantastic to see.
Well, this is kind of how it all started, the 10,000 metre event down here a number of years ago. Steigen and the guys from Steigen, Louis Rowan, the founders put this on for a number of years, and yeah, 10K being the marquee event down here for the guys who, you know, don't quite make it as Adepec and want to get a quick race, and it's just getting quicker and quicker year on year. And it's a great opportunity to run a quick time for all those other guys. So yeah, the Steigen #1 has taken limelight tonight, but we can't forget about this 10K, which is almost like the Australian Championships B division, really.
Whoa, that wind is, I didn't think it could, but it's picked up. And DeCanto doesn't seem too phased as he now resumes the lead from his training partner. So
an interesting comment to make is as we see the flashes of green on the back straight, all those Next Percent shoes are flying around the track.
It's like they handed them out before the race started.
Yeah, James Coleman opting for the spikes though.
Bold.
A couple of people in the spikes, but most of them, yeah, going without the spikes. Something a bit new that the Next Percent has lent itself to. Now, Mitch, we might just come away from this race for a little bit as the runners seem fairly settled, and they went through that first 3K in just under 9 minutes, so just under 30-minute pace. So we'll let them do their thing for a little bit. We're just seeing or hearing off the camera is the presentation. So we have Sarah Billings collecting a $5,000 winner's check for #1. We see Whitney Sharp, or should I say Lyndon Hall, getting a second position check of $2,500, and $1,000 goes to Whitney Sharp for the win. For the third place of #1. So Whitney Sharp, Lyndon Hall, and Sarah Billings. And Sarah Billings is going to crack the cork on the champagne.
Hopefully not at the 10K runners as one runs past.
Not on anyone being as cold as it is.
I hope not.
I know she's
there. We go. Hey, go on, do it. Put your thumb over it.
Yeah, I know.
Do it properly.
Not a champagne drink, maybe.
Neither.
And back to the track. We'll have the boys' presentations in a second. And proceedings haven't really changed too much. Tom DeCanto, Ash Hoffman, James Coleman.
In second place, representing Kokomo, late surge, getting him into second. Put your hands together for Cody Shanahan. And in first place, taking home the $5,000, representing Steam Packet Cafe. Great to have him here tonight, Geordie Williams. Once again, put your hands together for our podium in the men's #1, our inaugural men's event as part of the Steigen Spectacular. Now I'm getting out of there before I get sprayed. Well done, gents, and congratulations to the boys on their efforts tonight, and the girls as well, and to Geordie and Sarah, very, very Merry Christmas.
Well, at least one of them knew. At least one of them knew how to do it.
That's how you pop a cork. If anyone wants a lesson in popping champagne corks,
it's weird.
Ignore Sarah's video and just watch Geordie.
I think Geordie was actually shaking already before he had the bottle.
Yeah,
he already had the jitters.
He knew it was coming up.
So coming through 4K, 12:55. So under the 30 minutes, and we'll see if they can pick it up. But 6K left. I say see if they can pick it up. They've got time, but they're probably in that zone at the moment, and that front group looks to be working really well with one another. They'd all be under, probably either on or under the 30-minute mark. And in these conditions, when it's cold, it's a bit windy, particularly for Decanto there, it's really tough to be able to keep going and keep chipping away at that pace and that time. So hats off to them, but that front group working extremely well together.
Yeah, and the back of the pack runners who have just crossed the 4K mark now still will be heading for a sub 31-minute 10K run as well, which to get, another, we had the whole field of Zatopek last week, 25 runners maybe getting under 30 minutes. Now we're going to have another 25 odd, hopefully running under the 31-minute mark if everything goes to plan for the remaining 15 odd laps.
Well, I'll tell you what, I know I've been talking about people getting into their groove, but someone who I can't help but say it about is Ben Kelly there in about 5th position. I know we could talk about Jimmy, but I don't want to show too much bias. Ben Kelly looking extremely comfortable, but honestly, there hasn't been a lot of movement in that pack apart from the front two sharing the lead. So I think everybody's really benefiting from the fact that they can chill out, find their zone, find their spot, and sort of switch off, which I know Guy's extremely good at. So this will be right up his alley, Guy Walters, the Newcastle product, the saviour of Newcastle, as they like to call him. So all looking really comfortable. And to anybody who couldn't make it down to this meet this year, I strongly encourage you to make it down to the next one. It's only going to get better and better as this new style of athletic competition is just going to get more and more refined and more people interested. The draft, the prize money, the fact that the teams win and the local businesses, I can only see it getting bigger and bigger mix. So if you haven't made your way down here for whatever reason, try and do your best to make it down next year, because not only that, but you've also got great sprints, you've got great 10,000 metre racing and a good spot. Not far out of Melbourne, not far for those who have to come from the other side of Melbourne either. So,
absolutely, and we see some of these 10K guys as well. We're running the 10K right now, but tell you what, I wouldn't mind someone like Tom DeCanto or James Coleman in my team next year for a Steigen #1. So,
well, that's it. A lot of these blokes could probably translate over. It's, what do we calculate? 5.8K worth of work.
Yeah,
we're nearly doubling it here. So, if you're a coach, you're watching out.
People are going to be wording up their teams all year, trying to get people in there.
Well, I'll tell you
the
what.
draft, say, I'll pick you.
I reckon people
I'll take you.
Who are in it this year will be putting in their messages early saying, take me again next year.
Yeah. It'd be the old combo. You do the Run the Bay relay from Port Melbourne to Sorrento in November. Then you go on to your Steigen #1 draft in December.
Hey, it's getting more competitive.
It's the duo of fun events. And the front boys there just went through the 5K in about that 14:50 mark. So they're heading for around the 29:40, which they would all be very happy with, the guys in that front pack, or I think that's what they're aiming for. But Josh Maisie moves up into 3rd position, just goes past Jimmy Coleman, as does Ben Kelly.
Starting to break up here now.
Yeah. Do you think they're increasing the pace, or a few guys getting slower, or a combo of both?
I reckon he's increased it. If they've gone through in that 14:50, they're definitely starting to bring it down a little bit, as we see Guy Walters now and Mick. Who we got? Our bear, the umpire superstar, Michael Marantelli now. He's just off the back too. So still got Jimmy in there. But even Jimmy's now starting to go towards the back of that front pack. So I definitely reckon there's been an injection of pace. The man who I said has not wavered in Ben Kelly has not wavered.
I'll tell you what I'm loving in this race, Mitch. The pace that they're going at lends itself to being able to follow the race very easily.
Yes.
Because 3 minutes per kilometre. You can say, right, if they're coming through, what's that, 15 minutes? They must be through in 5K. Also, the graphic on the bottom of the screen as well makes it very easy for us and everyone at home to follow. But the 3 minutes, 6 minutes, 9 minutes, 12, 15, 18, etc. makes it a bit
Now that's
easier.
maths I can do.
Yeah.
So we start to see, I reckon it's definitely picking up.
I think it is
We
too.
start to see a few more fall off, and Jack Holden now finding himself looking really comfortable at the back of that front pack. Jimmy Coleman.
Nick Hurl as well is still up there. He's, as we said, a real tough runner.
Well, look, I reckon Jimmy was tipping himself to be in great form, and I reckon he is in great form. So it must be hot because this pack is only getting a little bit further and further away.
That's a good point. We'd be expecting James to be maintaining his pace, which would sort of suggest that the others may be increasing theirs.
Really interesting to see how much, because I'm predicting it will be, of a negative split these two 5Ks are of this 10K. Hard to do in a 10K, but it goes to show the endurance fitness of these guys out in front, that they're able to, go comfortable and feel comfortable, I suppose. And DeCanto's been the one who's probably been pushing that and doing a lot of the work. And you could see somebody like Jack Holden, who's at the back of this, Nick Earl or Ben Kelly, the ones who have sort of, benefited from the fact they haven't had to move around. They've just been able to sit on the pace. You might see them start to get to work in the later parts of this race. But we start to see it now. It's a front pack of 6 guys.
We said 6K, so it should be 18 minutes for a 30-minute 10K, and they've gone through just under that as Coleman goes smack bang on a 30-minute pace. So maybe he has slowed just a little bit, and the front pack has maintained, maybe ever so slightly sped up. So there's still a couple of thick packs of runners towards the back of this whole race, as a few of the boys come through now. So there's a couple of packs of 3 and a big thick pack of about 10 or so towards the back, led by Max Udaya from Melbourne University. He crosses the line now, going through 6 kilometres in about 18:30.
I've just been given an anonymous text to say, don't write off Jimmy Coleman. Wait and see what he's got in store. So I'll love to see what he's got in store off that text. He did tell us that he was very fit. He spent his time at Falls Creek. He's come back and he was ready to run fast, but as Jimmy now finds himself about 40 metres off that front pack, this front pack is working beautifully together. And we'll start to get a read on all of these names in the front pack. I reckon we've gone through just about all of them, but they're looking fantastic. DeCanto, he's just been churning them out. Holden still at the back. Kelly, Earl. I mean, it's the classic guys who have been at the front there from the gun. Guy Walters now latches himself back on to Marantelli. So starting to see a little bit of movement maybe towards the back to try and find their pace and find their feet.
I'm not sure what Josh Maisie ended up running at Zatopek last week, but I think the whole field ran around under that 29.5 mark, and I think Maisie was sort of around that low to mid 29 range. I could be wrong, but the pace he is on now, he should feel comfortable at.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. I haven't heard of too many people doing the back-to-back weekends of 10Ks, particularly if you've run a fast one the first time around. But hats off to him.
He's like a marathon runner.
Yeah, he must be training for something long, whether it's a half or a full. But he's looking very comfortable here, and you're right. It must have been one of the first Zatopeks in a long time to actually get everybody under the 30-minute mark. Shout out to Box Hill, the only track that could get it done. So you see this pack now, and still the pack of 6. And you see Nick Earl, he's sort of sitting on the outside. Maisie also on the outside there. Not in lane 2, but just on the outside of lane 1, ready to move and cover something if they need to. But I can't take my eyes off Jack Holden at the back of that front pack. He's just looking extremely comfortable as we now see Jimmy Coleman come through, Guy Walters, Michael Marantelli, and a host of other athletes here, as we'll try and start to get some names out here as we see hip numbers. So that one's Chris Rancy come through, and another St. Stephen's athlete here who's about to come through the line, which is Tom Crouch, and he's followed by Martin Cooper, as well as Ben Liddy.
Brett Ellis.
Callum Goldsmith here, who was forming that second pack early on in the race. He's now leading another pack in this race, so he can't seem to find a break to be able to tuck behind. Everybody's happy to tuck behind him. So the rest of our boys coming through now. Clary McIntyre. And he's followed closely by Jack Maxwell. So our leaders are going to come around here. Still our run crew men out in front. Maisie getting checked there. Ben Kelly happy to sit on the inside. And Matty Hudson, Tom DeCanto, both just churning out laps. I believe that run crew is either head coach or associate coach with Benny St. Lawrence, who just had his 10K record broken last week by Stewie McSween. He was in that race, which is quite a cool thing for him, I imagine. But his 2 athletes out there putting on a show, and they're just working extremely well together, which has got to be very satisfying for them as well. You see Maisie is happy to sit in that 3rd spot. And I reckon a danger one in that front pack, Mick,
Absolutely.
maybe the Nick Earl there.
Always said people like Josh Maisie and Nick Earl, both marathon runners. Tom DeCanto as well is a bit of an endurance beast who loves the longer stuff as he just pulls away from those first few guys. I'm not sure if it's a pull away or if he's just, I don't know. I don't know what that is. Let's see how that progresses.
We'll see how it works out.
It seemed like he was surging away, but I think the rest of the pack is going to slingshot back up to him pretty soon.
Well,
He might want a break, but
yeah,
they're not letting him.
He might be having a conversation going, hey, boys, look, we're happy to run fast, but maybe help us out a little bit.
Yeah.
But they all just seem to go, nah, you two have got it.
Have they
DeCanto.
increased the pace?
Yes. What is that, 20? Yeah, I think maybe just. I mean, I know maths isn't my strong point, but
Yeah,
it certainly seems as though it's got a little bit faster.
Our next milestone might be around,
So I think we've
is it,
lost
24 minutes
Michael
for 7K?
Maritelli from this race. So Jimmy Coleman comes through, Guy Walters comes through, and just in front of him is Frankie Conway. So those three might be able to work together and form somewhat of a second pack because we do have our athlete
Cook.
there.
Jamie Cook from Bendigo is in no man's land. So maybe over the next few Ks, yeah, James Coleman, Guy Walters, Frankie Conway, they may bridge that gap, although it sits at about 60 metres or so between Coleman and the other boys, then Jamie Cook. Cook being about 60 odd metres behind the leading pack, who will be hoping to go through the first 7K, or should we say 8K?
Well,
8K
I hope
in 24 minutes, 7K.
I hope Aid,
It's 4 minute
DeCanto still at the front.
8K and 23.53 for that leading pack. So they won't go unless they pick up the pace. They won't go for miles under the 30-minute mark. But
I'm going to say that the cold weather and the wind may be taking its toll here. And racing late at night can be good for some, but hard for others. So these guys, Frankie Conway's gritting his teeth here, and he's going to try and finish this race off and finish it well. Guy Walters checking his watch, ticking them off. They haven't quite caught up to Jimmy Coleman. They haven't quite been able to catch up and help him out. But I reckon as we've said that, Mick, I don't know, maybe I'm just reading too far into it. Everybody looks faster in the dark, but I reckon there's a little bit of movement. I reckon there's a little bit of push there.
that
from
whole
DeCanto.
pack's looked fast all
Yeah,
night.
it just looks faster. I don't know what it is.
You look down.
I don't
for
know
a
whether
second,
they have.
and then as soon as you look back up, you're like, geez, they're going fast.
Yeah.
They're going
Are they
faster.
moving? Are they going to run about 10 seconds faster this lap?
It's a good pack of similar runners as well. Like I really couldn't pick who the win is going to come out. Tom DeCanto maybe is the most established of the lot and has got some impressive results next to his name.
It really looks like he's trying to break away or get people to come with him, but he just can't quite get distance. Everyone's just happy for him to lead it.
And that's a bit of a dangerous position to be in as, well, we saw Pat Tin and Zatopek last week. He was just leading the whole way through for Stewie. I mean, Stewie's got a massive kick and he was always going to run like that, but it is hard to lead as Pat showed last week.
Well, this has definitely picked up because I reckon they're starting to string out a little bit now. Ask a few questions of the three at the back, particularly who have been able to benefit off sitting there. But I say that, let's say the four at the back, because Macy as well has just benefited off the first two rotating the pace and rotating the lead. But DeCanto hasn't handed it over for a while. And I reckon he's the one who's putting his foot on the gas pedal a little bit, and he's going to test them out and say, hey, you've been leeching off me. See if you can leech off this. So he's going to start to ask a few questions. Jack Holden at the back of the pack still looks extremely comfortable. He's done his work at altitude. See if it pays off.
He hasn't done much of the work. So I mean, he's working obviously, but he hasn't had to think too much.
No, that's
which
it.
is a massive advantage.
And here we go. I reckon it's picking up.
Yeah, and as we say, that Holden's moving on the shoulder of Ben Kelly as well. He's not letting any gaps get away.
No, he's going to cover the moves, and I reckon the one who's doing that really well outside of him is Nick Earl. He's found himself right on the back there, and he's going to benefit off the back of Maisie, DeCanto. Oh, it's just now we start to see Ben Kelly maybe slightly feel the pinch with this pace injection. He's also benefited off the fact that he's been able to sit in the pack, but maybe before he lets that elastic band break too much, he can just stay on the back there. Jimmy Coleman comes through now. Frankie Conway, Guy Walters. Guy Walters happy to sit off Frankie Conway for a little bit, I think.
As the leaders go through in about 26, 48, 49 seconds. So about 10 seconds under that 30-minute 10K pace. Let's see how they go in this last kilometre. If they kick it down a little bit and run a 2:55, 2:50, they'll be heading for around
They're moving.
29:40 mark.
I reckon they're moving. They're starting to drop Ben Kelly off a little bit. Jack Holden still on the back of that. Lester Canto now finally, he gets some relief. Matty Hudson.
Nick Earl's grimacing just on the shoulder of Maisie.
So's Maisie.
Yeah.
Jack Holden, honestly, I reckon, looks the smoothest.
Looks
and I know we've been talking about that he's benefited from being at the back, but he's looking extremely comfortable. Ben Kelly also actually has not lost that much ground. He sort of lost the contact, yes, but I don't think he's actually given up too many metres. So
the thing is about someone like Holden, he's coming more from a 1500 background.
Yeah.
He's sort of more recently a junior than the other guys, whereas say like Maisie, Nick Earl, they're coming from a marathon background, and that's sort of their strength, their endurance. Holden has recently built up his endurance, but still has that speed in his legs. And he, as you said, you picked it very early. He's been looking quite comfortable.
Yeah, he's just, when you don't have to think or you don't really have to monitor how fast you're going and just let somebody else do it for you, you just benefit from that mental relaxation. So I reckon he's going to have something left in him at least when it comes over to these closing stages. As we come 500 metres to go. And I don't really know who to pick in this because I think DeCanto's done a lot of work, but I can't count him out. His teammate or training partner, and Matty Hudson, he's going to lead him through at the bell. Holden now start to get on the outside. Maisie, the benefit of last week's great race. Nick Earl grimacing, but don't count him out. So I don't really know who to call in this. Maisie now asks questions on the outside. Can Jack Holden hold on to the back of this? But there's the separation a little bit, I think. It's Matty Hudson who's going to be the one to ask the question. Maisie, the only one with the correct answers. DeCanto's still on the back of that. Jack Holden, not done yet.
Are you saying, could Jack hold on? Was that a bit of a wordplay? Was that what you were trying to do
It's
there?
going to be hard to hold off, that's for sure.
As Hudson charges towards the finish, a tick over 29 minutes with 200 metres to go. They will run under 29:40 for the first few of them. Hudson, Maisie is chasing hard, but Hudson is running even faster. DeCanto has got a bit of a gap behind him.
Have a look at this, I reckon, behind them there.
Jack may hold on to a win over Nick Earl and DeCanto. He's charging behind Maisie as well, so watch the top few athletes. Hudson will take the win at the Steigen. The clock has stopped just early, 29:31.
Look at Nick
Hudson.
Earl come through.
Earl, Maisie, Holden all around 29:35.
Great racing.
Tom DeCanto about 29:36-37. Ben Kelly crossing the line now, 29:44.
Great effort from Ben Kelly, honestly. It's really hard when you lose that contact to be able to keep yourself going. So good run from Ben Kelly. He's going to dip under, I think, the 30-minute mark for the second time.
And that was a big kick down in the last K as well. We thought they'd run around to 29:40, 45, and they ended up running around the mid-30s. So
they got moving
last K.
I take my hat off to Matty Hudson. He did do some of the work. He did benefit from sitting behind his training partner, but he also did a fair bit of the work. Hats off to Tommy DeCanto as we see Jimmy Coleman now come down the line. A good run from Jimmy there. He might be a little bit flat with that, but he worked really hard. So well done to Jimmy Coleman. Guy Walters has moved around Frankie Conway. So Guy Walters now coming down the line. Frankie Conway as well, as we're going to call these athletes through as they start to come through now. And a few guys here will be running there, and that is
Dean Menzies from front runners. 19 is Ben Liddy.
And right now we have Brett Ellis, Darryl Crook, Daniel Hutchinson, as well as George Headley, who's our Sydney Uni athlete.
Chris Rancy, should I say. I saw the 5.
So a lot of guys coming through now.
Cooper.
under the 31.
Not 5.
They're all under 31 minutes.
Yeah, as we said earlier, let's try and get most of the field under that 31.
Caleb Mueller comes through, as well as Peter Hodkinson. And now with the run culture, maybe singling on, I'm seeing Ashley Hoffman to 31.15. So I reckon a lot of these guys would be pretty happy with these, looking at the PBs on the board here. As we see Johnny Portwood come through for 31.24. So bell lap here.
That's Chris Rancy, one more
Caleb
lap
Goldsmith of Mornington. He's going to come down. There's a sprint here. Clary McIntyre, he's just going to get bested. But he's done a lot of work. And that's Jack Maxwell come down the line. Clary McIntyre, 31.42.
A lot of these guys would be so relieved that 25 laps is just done. They're crossing the line.
That's brutal.
The relief that you see in their faces when they cross the line is just like, God, 30 minutes of laps and laps and laps. It's tough going.
You know, I reckon these conditions, I know runners tend to benefit a little bit from colder conditions because particularly over the distance you want to be cool as possible, but it's quite chilly, it's quite windy, and you take your hat off to anybody who's been able to race out there for 25 laps. Straight laps, lap after lap after lap after lap. It's not easy. And these guys have done a great job of it. As you said, sometimes it is noted as the Australian B 10,000 metre final, and if that is what it is, you think about how many guys we've just had under 31.
Yeah,
that's fantastic.
Our next best 30.
Yeah, like that's great racing. As we see our last athlete come through now, and that's Rancy. He's going to hit the line. He's also going to be under 33. So all of our athletes under 33 here. A great night of 10K racing here in Geelong. A great track, a great meet, and I hate to say this, I hate to be that guy, I think the winds just stopped.
Yeah, just as